Welcome to Rub the Wrong Way, a podcast for massage professionals. Each week, we undrape the taboo topics of massage therapy life, go deep on industry issues, and help you discover practice-building tips and tricks from industry experts. Grab your laundry basket and join your host, Christy Melling, as we strip down, bare all, and help you get rubbed the right way.
No, okay. So, I want a marker. I want a marker, please. M for marker. Troy Johnson, Heartman Cox Accountants. Welcome to the Rub the Wrong Way podcast. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm really well, thank you. Now, you are my personal and business accountant, and I wanted to get you on the show because you've been my accountant for about 1 million years. I think it's been around 1 million.
I don't have that many wrinkles.
You know, but yeah. So basically, I wanted to get you on the show because what I wanted to do today was I want to get some of your best knowledge on accountancy. Now, we both know how crap I am at money and you're really good at it. And you make my life really simple. So I want to just have a conversation with you about why does a massage therapist need to have a really good accountant? Why is accountancy important? Why is understanding your figures a good thing? So let's have a conversation about that. So first and foremost, let's talk about, because not everyone's going to be able to access your awesomeness. Let's talk about how to pick a good accountant. What makes a good accountant over, say, a crap accountant?
I think it's your ability to talk to them. So everyone is going to go walk in to see an accountant with the preconception that they know what they're talking about, which is pretty fair, because that's why people see a masseur, because they have a preconception that the masseur can massage. So I think primarily on the initial meet and greet, it's probably to find a level of comfort and that they're easy to understand. So you have a good, frank chat with them, and they're quite easy to understand. And that, everyone feels like they've conveyed everything they wanted to have a talk about. And then, as the relationship progresses, you'll get they'll be tried and tested, and you want that ease of use to maintain. And primarily, it's always ask around, talk to your business peers. So, masseurs know masseurs, and every masseur is going to have possibly a different accountant. So if someone's particularly happy, have a talk to the peers that you get involved with.
So basically, it's kind of the same as picking a good massage therapist. You want to make sure that you have a kind of initial consultation with them. You want to make sure that everybody's talking the same language and that you feel understood and kind of listened to and heard as part of the conversation. Is that, yeah?
Dead on. Dead on. And then, you want results. So you want to get on with them as a person, and then as life progresses, as your professional relationship progresses, you want the results to go with it. So yeah, no different to a masseur, no different to picking a mechanic or a carpenter. It's all the one and the same. So I'm a big fan of accountants doing free consults. I do them myself, but it's almost, there are many industries that will do that, where you come and have a chat, get to know the person. It's easy to give up 40 minutes, 50 minutes, whatever, just to see what they're like and see if it works for everyone working forwards. There have been isolated times when I've said to a business that I can't help you because what they want is not something that I can offer, whether it be based on skills or time commitments or their particular speciality, or they're just looking for something different that an accountant doesn't help you with or can't help you with. So, it's about that meet and greet.
So you're saying that probably if you were looking for a good accountant, one of the things that you could look out for is that free initial consultation kind of meet and greet sort of thing would be one nice way to kind of hedge your bets a little bit and not have to fully commit to an accountant. It's like a first date.
It's exactly like a first date.
You get to have a first date.
It's not that much different to your industry as a masseur. You don't. It's a position of trust. Accountants are numbers and masseurs are more about the body, of course, but you want
Sometimes.
to be able, usually, You want to be able to trust them implicitly, just to some degree. And if you can't trust them and you can't build that rapport with them, at least over the first meeting or then the next five, then what's the point? You should find someone else, and the accountant should probably recommend you find someone else. If they can't fix your problems, then your problems can't get fixed.
Fair enough. So, what's the difference? Okay, so picking a good accountant, really important. Good rapport, building all those things. What's the difference between an accountant and a bookkeeper? Because I know they're two separate things, but if I have an accountant, do I need a bookkeeper? Or if I have a bookkeeper, do I need an accountant? Like, how does that work?
To some degree, it depends on the accountant. There are accountants that will offer bookkeeping services. I don't, but I'm a big believer in not outsourcing. It's almost a bit of a dirty word now, but using everyone maximizing everyone's skill set. It's the same way you don't use your accountant as your banker, because your banker runs the banking, and you don't use your accountant as your solicitor. So even though while an accountant has a good knowledge or a very good knowledge of bookkeeping, there are people that specialize in that as bookkeepers, and primarily it's cost. I mean, a bookkeeper should and usually always is substantially cheaper than an accountant, and that's just based on the entry requirements and the level of study. So you're talking to a highly qualified accountant. They've usually got 3 to 4 degrees behind them, whereas a bookkeeper's got usually a certificate at best.
So you have 4 degrees.
5 now.
You're way overqualified.
No, unfortunately, I'm aptly qualified.
You're aptly qualified, like a bare minimum qualification.
Oh, maybe one extra.
One extra?
One extra.
Just above, just a little.
Yeah.
So what does okay, so you can tell me what a bookkeeper does though, right? What does a bookkeeper
Absolutely.
What do they do?
Books.
Dear bookkeeper, I would like to write a book, please. No,
books.
So they keep track of like all my incomings and all my outgoings and
that's exactly right. Yeah,
all that paper stuff that I'm so excited about. You know, I love the paper.
Well, that's their main job, is to stop you from drowning in the paper. So, and see, if you walk into an accountancy office with your bag of receipts, accountants will just like sigh and smack foreheads. Whereas bookkeepers they cherish, they relish it. That's where they live.
That's where they love.
So yeah, the bookkeeper is the person that
you hand your shoebox to.
Exactly, that organises it all for you, and to a large degree, they're the intermediary between you and the accountant. So they do a lot of the prep work for an accountant. Mm-hmm. So then, which is what I like about it, is it means that you can spend more quality time with your accountant, and not have them sighing about the bag of receipts. They can concentrate on what they believe you might need in the way of advice.
Okay. So what kind of advice should I be looking to get from my accountant? So will my accountant look at, say, how I'm tracking through the year and tell me if my business is doing profit? Can my accountant do that for me?
Yeah, so certainly any structuring, when you want to talk to your accountant, obviously, as you're getting started, or when you're expanding. So they're the definitely key points to have a chat to an accountant with. You've always got your taxation matters, which are bread and butter, but you got to do it. They comply. Got to do it. Everyone hates it, even accountants. But that's you got that core bread and butter that you'll be chatting to them about, and then you've got as you just said, looking at how your business tracking, discussing future movements, whether it be little things as I want to buy a new car for my mobile side of my business, or I want to buy some equipment, start a premises, employ some staff. Anything above. Basically, I guess an accountant's a good intermediary as well. So when you're looking for funding, they can help talk to the bank. If you need to draw up some HR agreements with staff, they can be an intermediary with the solicitor to help all the wheels being greased. So while accountants are a member of sort of a financial team that a business should have around them, they're a bit of a central cog. But that's an accountant talking, of course. Sure, still different.
Very important. To the financial team.
That's right. I know what's going on.
Okay, so we kind of have a start of what our team looks like in regards to finance. Are there ways that are there ways I can, as a massage therapist, streamline what I'm doing and make it a bit easier? So, for example, like I mean, I hate keeping all my receipts and all that kind of stuff. Are there systems that we can implement to be able to, say, automate a lot of kind of bookkeeping-y sort of stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. You want to have that chat with your bookkeeper, accountant, or both, probably, and they should be working together. But I mean, the online world and the electronic world makes things very simple nowadays. You've got banks talking directly to many different pieces of software, and then the bookkeepers using that same software and effectively giving accountants real-time access to how your business is going, so they know at the end of a month that you can of how you're tracking, what's changing, if sales are trending up or down. And that's the beauty of the online world. And you got your big name players of MYOB and Xero. Xero is very popular right now, and they're pinching a lot of market share. But they both do a very similar job, and they both got slightly different but similar price points. But yeah, a lot of it is automated. So while we joke about the bag of receipts, you almost don't need them, because everything that's repetitive, as long as you just stash them away somewhere, the bookkeeper doesn't even need to see them. They'll just look at if you've got your regular payments for rent or wages or for your car payment. All that stuff comes out automatically. They know that everything you're getting through any easy pay system or check deposits, that might be income for your practice. So automation and online is a very, very busy space. Wouldn't want to fancy myself as a bookkeeper in about 5 years' time, because they're getting better and better at it. The little robot computers.
The robots.
The little monkeys.
Monkeys in the. They're in the. Monkey.
Monkeys are in the computer.
They're definitely monkeys in the computer. I'm sure of it. So, is it worth, as a massage therapist, the recurring cost of investing in, say, Xero?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'd always think twice about an accountant or a bookkeeper that said no without a good reason. And I can't think of a good reason.
And you're an accountant.
No, that's right. So there is, I mean, some people are still a little bit hesitant with the online world, and Xero is cloud only. But then you've got MYB as an alternative to that, which is semi-cloud or cloud-like, is I think the terminology they use. So cloud-like. Apparently it's a word. Maya made it up. See if it makes it to Oxford.
Maya made it up.
Yep. They are cloud-like. Which is okay. I mean, they offer real-time access for the accountants and the business and the bookkeeper. They offer the bank all the fed information from the banks, but while they still maintain physical backups on hard drives, not off on a data center. But I'm a bit of the opinion that actually I got this information from MYOB about a week ago, that they spend the equivalent of $100,000 a year per client on data security for their cloud servers. So businesses just can't match that.
No.
So I mean, when you've got data servers in the business of managing data, keeping it live and online, up and running, you just, they do it better. So why do you need it on your hard drive? They run your backups. You've got no responsibility. If someone steals your laptop, or you set it on fire in a fit of rage, your backup's still going to be there. So pointless. Moral of the story, don't set fire to your PC. It won't solve anything anymore.
No, it doesn't solve any problems.
It's in the cloud.
It's all in the cloud. And it's cloud-like. You can't set fire to it.
That's right. Even the cloud-like is still like a cloud.
Still like
so,
very, very
no, it
similar.
is. I mean, I think, couldn't quote me on it, but I believe the Xero servers were down for 2 hours last year. Total.
Wow. 2 hours total.
And if sun's outside, you can always take a break from the books if you just happen to need to do something in that 2 hours.
They might have not also been 2 hours all at once. Might have been a total of 2 hours across 12 months, and it might have been 2 minutes here and a minute there and 10 minutes here and 45 seconds there, and added up to 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that a lot of massage therapists are quite hesitant to, like the online stuff really flips them out a little bit. So I think it's really important to hear from someone like yourself who's an expert in the industry and say, it's okay, like stroke their heads until they feel all right about it. So Xero is the way to go. MYOB online, whatever it's called, MYOB Live Live accounts.
No, they've got a couple of different versions with different names, but MYOB, just use that name.
Yeah.
And you're going to struggle to find an accountant that's not au fait with at least one, but preferably both of those anyway. So go nuts and have a good sit down chat with someone who'll take you through the pros and cons of each.
Cool. So let's talk a little bit about progressing your business, because I know this is something like I know we've been through progressing a business together as my business has progressed, and it's grown, expanded and contracted and changed and all these things over time. Let's go through, say, the pros and cons of subcontractor versus renter versus employee. So can you let's have a little conversation about what those three different things kind of mean. And I know that a few people recently in a couple of the forums I'm on Facebook have brought up the fact of things like sham contracting and whatnot. So as a massage therapist, or as someone who wants to, say, expand my business and get a second or a couple of new therapists into my business to help cover my workload, what is potentially the least risky for me to do? And kind of let's talk about that. So subby versus, let's say, renter.
Well, the biggest, yeah, the biggest issue is that they're polarized. What is best for a business is always the exact opposite of what's best for the employee. I mean, people want job security, and they want to be an employee because they know they can turn up to work whether there's work on or not, and they get paid. Whereas obviously a subcontractor, by nature, you pick them up when required, and that can be subject to wide-ranging terms. There will be people that won't get paid travel time and be expected to come in for one appointment and then leave again. There'll be other contractor arrangements that will specify minimum of 3 or 4 appointments in a block, to get better use of their travel time. So there's always going to be a lot of room to move in subcontractor arrangements, not so, and to a certain degree the renter arrangements as well, whereas employees are nice and safe and secure in their world. Now, with obviously the sham that you mentioned, the sham subcontractors, that's mostly, that's for really for people that are abusing the subcontractor system. When for all intents and purposes you apply the smell test to it, you looked at that subby and they smell like an employee. So, and don't know what that kind of odor is like, but that's
imagine it's BO.
No, I need to imagine that. But yeah, it's the sham's all about taking. It's a good employer doesn't want to take advantage of their staff. They just want to secure a good working arrangement. And I am a fan of subcontractors for a young business because it's so hard to offer commitment. And at the end of the day, if you can offer 3 people a subcontract arrangement and keep that going and build it up, and then they're busy, and then convert them to an employee, as far as I'm concerned, that's a good result for everyone. On the flip side, you put on 3 people on full time, you don't know what you're doing with them, they're not busy half the time, and then all of a sudden you run out of funds and then no one has a job.
Yeah.
So the subcontractor and its flexibility is a good road to go down, but you just got to have a talk to your accountant because there's pitfalls with that whole sham contracting where you can be caught doing something you didn't intend to do. And so you just got to work through the really finer point details. And it's not something that you could ever put a blanket on. And even within the same business, where one employee might be an employee and then another contractor is a contractor, just from a very subtle difference in their arrangement, just in the same place of work.
So say if potentially you had a massage therapist who you subcontracted them for massage, and then you could potentially employ them for reception, is that a thing you could do?
Not really, no. They want very clear and separate duties. So you'd subcontract them for all of the duties, being massage and administration. But then it's more about as the nature of that relationship changed and strengthened, that you'd convert them to an employee. By and large, where the ATO and work cover are all looking from, they want everyone to be an employee effectively. They don't like subcontractors. Their legislation is very focused on worker protection with their labour laws. So, and that being said, if you're putting someone for 5 hours a week, you're going to push them on as a subcontractor. You start pushing them up to 25 hours a week, no harm in pushing them to a permanent part-time if you can give that commitment. There's nothing wrong with employees. It's just that subcontractors give you some flexibility while you're growing. So that there'll usually be, if everything goes well, there'll be a transitional period.
Okay. So realistically, it is that transition across from subby to being an employee potentially, and that helps provide the potential subcontracting employee person some more job security and that ability to kind of grow their own kind of clientele and things like that and grow with the business.
Spot on. Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, realistically, a business can't expect loyalty from a subcontractor. So there is a loss for them as well. They're cheap and free and easy, but for that exact same reason, you can't expect loyalty. So people want job security, and businesses want loyalty. So an employee is generally a good position to work towards. You just don't want to do that early on and bite your nose off to spite your face.
Yeah.
So get them on board as an employee, and then you can look at profit arrangements. You can look at bringing him in as an equity partner into the practice if that's where you want things to go.
And
all things to be explored.
And that's in a conversation that you would have with your accountant. Yay! Circle.
Right in that middle cog. The middle cog.
The middle cog. Right in the center. That's where you love to be. Like you're the creamy center of the financial cookie.
Mm.
The
Yoda of business world.
That's the Yoda of the business world. Do or do not. There is no employee.
That's right.
Okay, so let's talk about how to know if you have a profitable business.
Usually one key sign is money in the bank.
Money. Yes.
There you go. And then so money in the bank, chances are things are going all right and no one's hassling you about being paid.
Cool.
Because you paid them all. There's number one. And then you got that sort of second common scenario where the accountant or bookkeeper tells you there should be money in the bank and you realize there's none, and why is that the case? And that's where you have a longer conversation with the accountant, because making money and being profitable is never always about having cash. You want it to, and it's there somewhere, but it floats around the cloud along with MYOB.
Cloud-like.
So yeah,
my profit is cloud-like.
That's right. You got the big drama in businesses, and any business would tell it, no matter what the trade or industry, whether small, micro, large. There's always certain points in the growth cycle or consolidation or where you're at that work turns into good, proper cash flow. Because there's usually always something to do. Particularly the hardest time for cash flow. You might be a profitable business and building quite well and expanding your base, putting on staff. But that's going to be the hardest time for cash flow. So money in the bank's a good indicator, but certainly not the biggest one, because you can also be going backwards, and it's just a sign that you haven't gone backwards yet. So it's that point where rewinding a little, where being online and having files that an accountant can readily access is brilliant, really, I guess. So the accountant can keep an eye on it and they can tell you where you're at. So it's having those conversations with either your bookkeeper as your books are done, or your accountant, and just looking at how they go for the month or the quarter.
Okay.
What's my turnover for last week? Sort of having a few goals and budgets and working out where you're going. Yeah.
So is there a point with a business where you would say it's probably best to quit? You're like, nah, this isn't working. Like, is there a point where that's a conversation you have with people? Like,
always. Yeah, it does happen. I think that the biggest driving force is energy. If you don't, if someone ever walked into me and said, look, I don't have the energy for this anymore, my first thing to them is, will you get it back? And if you won't, time to quit. If you can't run any business of any size unless you've got the ability to put the time and effort in that it needs. I mean, it's like nurturing a toddler, because it's always going to need more time, and it doesn't know how to work by itself. You just got to keep giving it the love, and sometimes it rewards you, and the times that it doesn't, or the times that you can't reward it anymore, give it up to a good home.
Wait.
The business, not the toddler.
Oh, the business. Okay. Phew. I was like, please. Okay, everyone who's listening, please don't give up your toddlers. Don't just leave them at a shopping centre or something.
No. There's recognised channels for that.
Yeah.
Don't live in a shopping centre.
So it's about that energy exchange, whether or not you're feeling like you're getting enough
what you want out of your business.
What you want out of your business. And I guess that's also the opportunity to have a different conversation with your accountant about how to restructure your business potentially so that it's cutting less energy from your life or things like that as well.
Look, and it's not always the right time to quit. Just because you had a bit of a low point, that you just need to. An accountant's a good person to talk to about how to get your juju back. You want to, because that's right. You might want to bring in a different branch of income or stream, or develop a different pathway, look at where you're at with your staffing situation, whether you want to wind that up or wind it down. So formulating some new goals or a change of scenery. Or sometimes it's just talking to an accountant who says, well, go take 2 weeks off and see how you feel after that. Sometimes you just need a recharge. Sometimes you need to take a different viewpoint or get in some new boots completely. So not always a time to quit, because at the end of the day, the masseurs are having this chat with their accountant. They've already put significant time and investment into being a masseur. So there's a skill set there, and that's the way to make money. So sometimes there will be points where you say, look, I had enough, going to wind it up, just want to go contract for someone else. But most of the time, it's just a matter of how do you recharge and push on. And leverage off your skill.
Yeah. It sounds like you are a financial counselor more than just an accountant. Because I know that's kind of the level of conversations that we have when we've had, our conversations about business and whatnot. I know there's been times when I've come in and I'm like crying, going, I don't know what I'm going to do. And you're like, it's okay.
Well, I guess at the end of the day, I mean, putting aside any personal connection that you have with your accountant, who is somewhat integral to most business.
The creamy center of the financial cookie.
The accountant doesn't stay in business without you staying in business. It's a working team. I mean, everyone talks about your financial team, and because you talk to your banker, you talk to your solicitor, you talk to your accountant. All these people, their business is to help you stay in business. So it doesn't do us very well if all of our clients go bankrupt.
No, that doesn't look good. I don't know if
we can join you. We'll just end up joining you.
Yeah, exactly. It'll just be like this club everybody's in.
Yeah, the bankrupt club. It's bankrupt club. Super not fun.
Yeah, sounds really crap.
But no, so it's in the accountant's vested interest. So you should, and that goes right back to how we started this conversation, was picking a good accountant. You need an accountant where you can have those frank conversations with and tell them exactly how you feel, even if it's about how you feel with your relationship with them. And then at the same time, you want that accountant to feel just as frank with you, that they'll tell you exactly what's on their mind, usually professionally, sometimes.
Sometimes
less than professional. But yeah, you want them to tell you how it is, and shoot straight. Yeah. You don't. I mean, while everyone wants to be pleasant and nice, and it's always good to have a positive outlook. You do need to know when you need to turn a corner, not have someone that'll keep feeding wishes and hopes.
I think that's good. Someone who can be a bit realistic, but also build you up when you need that little bit of a push to keep going and stay on track.
I think so.
Yeah. So let's talk about pricing for profit, because this is something I think a lot of massage therapists don't or aren't able to get their head around. And it's something that's taken me a little bit of time to kind of get my head around as well as a massage therapist. Is like working backwards from what I want to earn or how much I need my business to take, and kind of breaking that down to like, this is how much I need to charge. Is that something that my accountant can help me with? Like if I have a financial goal, say I want to buy a new car, or want to, I don't know, go on a 6-month holiday, or I want to actually have some money in my super. How do I price my service to make a profit?
You're exactly in the right hands with your accountant. So all of that really comes back to financial modeling and sort of scenario, what if scenarios. Like if my hourly rate is this, and then I move it to this, where will I be, and how will that affect my bottom line? And so you looking at where your profit is, also looking at where your client base may grow. Like, if I knock 5% off, I feel I might get 5% more clients. But is that worthwhile? Is that workflow worthwhile? Because you don't want to work for free, and it's a matter of you want to get as much demand as possible without getting the most profit for it. When you look at it that way on numbers, it's no different to manufacturing. You know that people will buy a product if it's marked at this price. It's just balancing up supply demand. So clients in the door that you want to see, and then going back to running that modeling to make sure you're getting what you're out of it. So you know that you need to up your price, or you need to up your efficiency and your diary and your bookings to get that car, or to put that deposit on that house, or take the next step to going from 1 staff to 3 staff. Like looking at all the ins and outs. So it's all modeling, and that's something to have a chat with the accountant at. And of course, going backwards to the old books, the more up to date and clear books you have, the better information that goes in to give better information coming out.
It is one of those things. I think a massage therapist really does need to have that financial team around them to be able to completely grasp the whole picture. It becomes really, my brain kind of switches off when it comes to numbers. So I find it's really helpful to have someone who I can speak with and be able to give me that insight into how to make my business better. So, any hot tips on deductions for my business? Anything I'm missing?
No, of course not.
No, because you're the best accountant. Boom.
Yeah. There you go. But but that's always a chat to have with the accountant. There are accountants out there that can be a little bit, it's not like we don't get that question a lot. Like, what can I claim? What can't I claim? But you should just always have that chat with the accountants, have them run through it. So, and it will always depend on you and what you do and what your relationship is with your income. Because, you claim anything that relates to your income. But there's little subtleties, particularly if you're mobile versus home-based. Naturally, different things to claim there and driving around. I mean, little things like if you're mobile and doing a lot of work outside, put to a claim for your sunglasses. A lot of people wouldn't do something like that. But got to drive and don't want it to glare and you run over a pedestrian. It's all about safety first. Safety first. But and then you've got when you're working at home. Are you a home business or you're just running more of a home office type arrangement? And what's your setup and the differentiating point there is, do you just claim a bit of sort of power, electricity and running costs, or do you start clawing down and paying and claiming on your mortgage or your rent that you pay? So whether it's when you're working at home. So there's always little bits and pieces, and the reason why you have an accountant is to talk to them about those finer points. Otherwise, everyone would just do their own tax and just have a good stab at it. Not always the best thing to do. No. Have a good stab.
Don't.
There are usually things an accountant can offer. And plus, for those in business, the business world changes, every year as the federal government decides something needs to be different just about. So the accountant's the person that's always on board and on top of what's changing and what changes in your business in that year. Or doesn't necessarily for your particular business change every single year, but you'll usually find there's something changing every couple for sure. So they make sure that you're taking advantage of any concession that you've got available.
So let's I'm not sure if you'll be able to answer this question for me until I ask it, obviously. GST. There are people, and I know there are massage therapists out there who say that because massage is a health service, it's GST exempt. Now, is that correct or incorrect? I'm putting you totally on the spot.
Absolutely.
You're gonna be like, I don't know.
No, I mean generally it isn't classified in the GST legislation as a GST-free service. So it's in a little bit of that awkward, and not the only one by it. You would look at the same as a naturopath. Mm-hmm. Well, a naturopath is exempt, and they may be prescribing Chinese herbs. Only the Chinese herbs that's consumed in the consultation room is exempt. They have to charge GST on anything the patient walks out the door with. So, we have to some degree a bit of a broken GST system, particularly when you start delving into education and health.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of little bits and pieces everywhere that, as a masseur, avoid GST where you can because it makes you cheaper for all of your non-corporate clients, which is 98% of them. But unfortunately, at the moment, that's the rules. So, I guess it really comes back to lobbying from the professional bodies to government to try and change something like that. But yeah, so unless you can fall into broadly based, subject to GST, and there's not too much you can do with that.
No. So, what's the threshold now for charging for GST? Is it 75,000? 75,000?
Yep.
So if you're earning over 75K, got to charge GST if you're a massage therapist. If you're earning over 75K and you're a massage therapist, call in. I'd like to talk to you. But basically, and that's what you're saying. So like over 75,000, you got to charge GST. So that kind of moots that point for people. I like that my accountant can tell me that's
Done.
That's it. Got to charge it. So let's wrap up. What's your top tips for massage therapists and talking to their accountant? What are the top questions I should ask my accountant when I get in there? Give me 3.
Put it back on the accountant. Have a chat to them. Ask your accountant, where should I be going? What should I be doing with my business? And then that'll prompt them to ask you questions about your where you want to model the thing to. Where do you want to take it to? Whether you want to take over the world, or you just want to keep nice and quiet in your own tiny little empire? So ask them about what they believe is a good idea on expansion, and prompt them to ask the questions. Have a talk to them about, you can't avoid it, about tax management and deductions. It's always, it should be. If you're just starting a relationship with someone, you want to know that they at least know what they're talking about. Pretty fair. Seems fair.
Yeah, seems fair.
And then there would be looking probably going a little bit further into the goal setting.
Mm-hmm.
I want to buy an investment property in 2 years. So how do I do that? And what do I look for? And further on that, I would always recommend people talk to them about investments. Step 1, always get on top of your own life. Step 2, look at how you don't have to work for the rest of your life. And a masseur, like an accountant, unless you can come up with some nice podcasts and products, you're going to be stuck to selling time.
Yeah.
And of course, that doesn't. While it can give you a bit of cash flow, you got to make sure you're utilizing that cash flow for investment. So talk to your accountant about any thoughts and ideas about how to beat the rat race. Otherwise, just be an employee and be part of the rat race. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So get them to sort out your life, and then when your life is sorted, get them to sort out investments, so then when you get a bit older, you can stop doing what you're doing and start doing it for fun again.
Yay!
That's fun already.
Well, it's alright. It's always fun. It's always fun. It's never boring. It's always it's a great life. Massage is a great life. It's awesome. Get to massage people all day. It's so good.
Pretty much the job description.
Exactly, right? So Troy Johnson, where can my listeners connect with you if they wanted to say someone's from Brisbane, because I know I have Brisbane listeners. Hi, Brisbane listeners. If they wanted to come and see you and they wanted you to be their awesome accountant, like you're my awesome accountant, how do my listeners get in contact with you? Where do you live? On the internet. Not
on the internet.
Like not
That's
exact.
right.
Like
yeah.
yes.
Best landing page would be the website. So jump onto the Heartman Cox website. So HARTMANNCOX.com.au. So jump on there. It's got all the phone numbers. Got contact us via email. It gives a little bit of it's an info site. It gives a little bit of blurb about who we are and a bit of general information about what we do. And give us a phone call or send us an email, and then we can move things along from there.
And you can book a free initial consultation with Troy.
That's right.
Exactly. He's a good accountant and he does free initial consultations.
Free of charge. Hold me to account for everything I've just said.
Exactly. You see, they're going to listen and they're going to come in and you said this thing on the podcast.
That's right.
Awesome.
Damn it.
Thank you so much for your time today, Troy. It's been awesome to have a conversation with you, as always. It's always great. And I'm looking forward to goal setting and increasing my business with my accountant. The creamy financial center of my money biscuit.
Like a Twinkie.
Like a Twinkie. Thanks, Troy.
Thanks, Christy. Take care.
Thanks for listening to Rub the Wrong Way. We'd love to connect with you at our website, www.rubtherightway.com, where you can download your free copy of The Hustle Method, 6 Steps to a Kick-Ass Massage Biz, or on Facebook, Rub the Wrong Way Podcast, or on Twitter @RubWrong.
This is a We Are Podcast show. We Are Podcast is Australia's premium gathering of current and future podcasters. If you aren't a member yet, you should go and check us out at wearepodcast.com and click on the Members Live Here button right in the center of the page. Included in your membership are monthly accountability sessions with me, that's a tongue twister, monthly State of the Union podcasting webinars, as well as free podcast hosting for the rest of your membership life with Audioboom. We not only cover everything podcasting, but we also cover every other aspect of online business around your podcast. So if you want to make money and grow your influence using a podcast, get your first month for only $19 using the promo code IAMPodcast at checkout. Also, for peace of mind, you can leave whenever you like in case you've had enough of us. So go in and check it out. wearepodcast.com and click on the Members Live Here button.